Canada just scored 6 goals in one World Cup game. To put that in perspective, Canada had scored a total of 2 goals in their entire World Cup history before this tournament. One match. 6 goals. And here's the part nobody's talking about. This blowout didn't just help Canada, it quietly messed with teams that weren't even on the field that night. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll understand why a 6-0 win in Vancouver matters in groups. Canada isn't even part of. Let's set the scene. Canada is co-hosting this World Cup. 3 appearances in their entire history. Before Thursday, their record was 1 draw, 6 losses, 0 wins, 0, in nearly a century of trying. So when they walked into BC Place in Vancouver to face Qatar, the pressure wasn't just about 3 points. It was about erasing decades of almost. In theory, this should have been close. Qatar isn't some minnow. They're the reigning Asian champions. In practice, it fell apart in the first half. Saïl Louren opened the scoring in the 16th minute, and just as Qatar tried to respond, they got reduced to 10 men after a reckless tackle stopped a Canadian breakaway. That's the thing about red cards. They don't just cost you a player, they cost you your game plan. Jonathan David made it 2 before halftime, then snuck in a third in stoppage time. 3-0 at the break. You know the type of game this becomes after that. The kind where the losing team just wants the final whistle. Here's where it gets interesting, though, and also where this story stops being fun for a second. Qatar got a second red card in the second half, down to 9 men, after a brutal late challenge that sent Canadian midfielder Ismail Kone off on a stretcher with a serious leg injury. Real highs and real lows in the same 60 seconds. That's football. Canada kept piling on anyway. A free kick from distance, an own goal, and then Jonathan David completing his hat trick in the dying seconds to make it 6-0. The biggest win margin by a CONCACAF team in World Cup history. Canada's first ever World Cup victory, on home soil, with the whole country watching. Okay, so why does this affect the bracket and not just the highlight reel? This sounds simple. It isn't. Here's the mechanism. In this expanded 48-team World Cup, it's not just the top 2 teams in each group that survive. The 8 best third-place teams across all 12 groups also sneak into the knockout rounds. And how do you rank 12 different third-place teams against each other? Points first, then goal difference, then goals scored. That's the part that turns one lopsided scoreline into a tournament-wide ripple. Qatar now has a goal difference of -6, sitting at the bottom of Group B with Bosnia and Herzegovina. If either of them ends up clawing into third place instead of fourth, that -6 is dragging them backward in a leaderboard against teams from completely different groups, on completely different continents, who never even played Canada. A team in Group K could lose its spot in the round of 32, partly because of what happened in Vancouver. That's the quiet chaos of this format. Every blowout anywhere echoes everywhere. And the drama isn't done in Group B itself. Canada now sits level with Switzerland at 4 points, tied at the top, with goal difference doing a lot of the talking. Bosnia and Qatar are stuck on 1 point each, fighting just to avoid finishing dead last. The final round of group games lands on June 24th, Switzerland against Canada in Vancouver, and that single match decides who tops the group and who settles for second. In a 48-team bracket, where you finish in your group shapes the entire road ahead of you. First place and second place do not get the same path. So here's the takeaway. Canada didn't just win a game. They turned a normal Thursday in Vancouver into a pressure test for third-place teams they'll probably never even play. That's the strange beauty of this new format. Every group is quietly connected to every other group, whether the players realize it or not. Canada still has to finish the job against Switzerland to lock in top spot. But they've already done the part nobody thought they could do. They got their first World Cup win on home turf in the most emphatic way possible. The only question left is whether Vancouver has one more big night in it on June 24th. If you want to actually understand this bracket instead of just guessing at it during the knockout rounds, subscribe, because we're breaking down every twist this tournament throws at us.